Let me introduce myself. I'm Sergeant Mark Wendel with Walton County Sheriff's Office. I'm with the Crime Prevention Unit, and I just want to say thank you to every one of you all showing an interest in their project here. The commissioners come forward to me and asked me to start hosting this meeting for him and the community, as well as with Walton County Sheriff's Office. So right from the start, I want to say thank you and welcome to our team. By being on part of the team, I want to acknowledge a few special individuals. This past week, we went door to door handing out flyers. We put out signs. We put it out in their social media and so forth. One of the people that I really want to acknowledge is Byron and the Boy Scouts. Their troops went door to door throughout your community, putting in the flyers and putting in the hard work. So thank you so very much to the Boy Scouts and girls that have participated in that. So thank you. Without further ado, I want to introduce our Commissioner, Michael Barker, who is up here. We're here to talk about the Beaver Dam Park in the Oakwood Hills Community. So with that being said, I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Barker.
Thanks, Sergeant. And again, I want to thank Sergeant Wendel, Sheriff Posse, Boy Scouts. They handed out a lot of flyers. We tried to get the word out to as many people as we could to let them know that we wanted everybody to come that could come to the meeting. They done a great job. They was out, I saw out in force doing this. So it was the message boards that were put up. Mark's done a fabulous job, and the volunteers and everybody done that. I really appreciate that. I appreciate it. Everything that y'all do. Let me tell you, as Sergeant said, I'm Mike Barker, I'm the Commissioner in District 3. The District 3 covers the Oakwood Hills area. So I want to tell you that what the purpose of this and what spurred this meeting and to act and talk about Oakwood Hills. Everybody know where Beaver Dam Park is at? Okay. So Beaver Dam Park, as you know, used to be a nice park. And then it went downhill. We had a lot of vandalism. We had a lot of things going on in there that Sergeant Wendel will talk about in a little bit. But it was basically tore up to the pieces. When I first took office, which was November of 2020, I had people call me about, so what about this Beaver Dam Park going to be fixed? Is it going to, what's going on with it? So, and I'm from here, so I used to go to that park when I was younger. So, I mean, I know my wife used to, we live in Oakwood Hills, so she used to go swim in the lake out there. So I started checking into it and finding out what all had happened there and the history about it. So in checking into it then, there were some people that lived around the water out there that said the dam had issues and then the water started going down. And so I started trying to research, whose dam it was, who it belonged to, because the county has different properties in different places. So we're trying to find out the legalities of it. So what I was actually told then is, no, we can't fix the dam that don't belong to us. So, and then I found out all the things that had happened in that park and how it had been damaged. And I said, we can't just put it back the way it was and things that's going on out there and have it just tore up again. That won't work. So months ago, don't remember how long it's been ago then, but Sergeant Wendel and I started having a conversation about that. I started having a conversation with our Public Works Department to try to find out who owns the park, what can we do to it legally, what can we do, and then I started talking to some residents about it that wanted to go there and had children that wanted to go there because there were not a whole lot of areas where kids can go swim, and I get it. It would be a nice place to swim. So basically, here was my thought to Sergeant Wendel, that in order for that park to work, in order for it to, we can't just put it back and have it destroyed like it was before. Can't do that. So in order for it to work and for us to put it back, we need some community involvement. We need some things to happen that Sergeant Wendel can help us with, that help all of us with that lives out there. We have a lot of things going on in Oakwood Hills that's a little bit less than desirable. We all know that. We just do. The sheriff knows that. I mean, the officers know that. I mean, we do. But we still enjoy it. We still like living out there. I get out in the ditches around my house a lot and pick up trash, throwing stuff out. And I hate it with passion. I hate it all my life. I hate that. So, you know, I want it to be as clean and as nice, and you're gonna hear a lot of things tonight that's a benefit for our properties being clean and nice. Let me throw a disclaimer up there right now. If anybody thinks I'm winking out and I'm not, I've had 2 eye surgeries in the last 3 weeks. So I can't see out of this eye pretty good. So it's real blurry, so it waters a lot, and my wife thinks it's great because she thinks I'm winking at her all the time. So if you see me wiping my eye, I'm not crying or anything. But, so what I would like to do, and I'm gonna let, Buddy Wright, our Assistant Public Works Director, get up here and talk about the boundaries of the park and what the county actually owns that you may not know, that I didn't know until I started checking into it. But the way I envision this is some type of a community watch program, something that we all need, that we can all buy into, that we can, you'll hear the Sheriff's Office talk a lot about it. If you see something, say something. But we're gonna have to have that in our area in order for things to be better. We're gonna have to have that. And I don't mean getting on Facebook and talking about it. Listen, I see these posts on Facebook. You won't see me comment back on that because it's not a smart thing to do. You can't win a comment on Facebook. But I see these things. You can't get on next door and talk about it. It's not going to be any good. You can't get on Facebook, dude. You've got to call and report it to the right agency that can help take care of the problem. So it's going to take all the community involvement. The Sheriff's Office is on board. I'm on board. I would love to fix that part. And here's what I would like to do. I'd like to fix it down. I'd like to go in there and I'd like to fence it off on both sides. I'd like to stop ATVs from going in there and set it up. I'd like to level that parking lot back off and have an area where you can get in and it's not washed out. I'd like to fix all that so it's nice. I'd like to have a parking area up front, fence it off so you can't drive in there. So you can park cars up front and go in there and enjoy it. And I'd like to put cameras up to be able to stop. To be able to, if somebody does something, we don't know who done it. And I think there might be a camera in there before they stole it, from what I understand. But we can put some things up that they won't be able to steal, and if they do, we'll know who took it. So that's my conversation that I had with Sergeant Wendel over the month that we talked about it, and trying to figure out how to make this happen. So to me, the only way I can figure out for the county to make the investment of putting it back, because it's your tax dollars that's going to pay for putting it back. If that happens. So if we do that, then I want to be able to protect it. And I want all of us to be able to protect it, have a place that we can enjoy, your children, your families can go enjoy and be proud of the neighborhood. So in order for that to happen, we have some obstacles that we got to, some hurdles we have to overcome. The property we need for a parking area, we don't own. So we're negotiating with that already to try to get it. But the wooded area right out front, when you first go in, that little wooded area between those driveways, we don't own that. So, and that's where we need a parking area. The road on the west side, where you exit, we don't own that road. County don't own that, it's always been used for an exit. We don't actually own that road. So there's a lot of things that we have to do to try to make this work, and it's not gonna happen overnight. But if we can get some things in place, that I can be assured somehow that I can help assure the other commissioners on the board, because I can't do it myself, I'm one person, a lone commissioner, in case you didn't do it, can't do anything. It takes 3 to get something, to do something, to get a vote to do it. So, but in order for us to do that, I've got to have some assurances that I've got community buy-in, that they want it, number one, which is the purpose of this meeting. And that I've got some type of assurance that we're all going to fit in together to try to help protect it. So, with that being said, I'm going to ask Buddy Wright, which has helped me do a lot of research on it, to kind of outline the boundaries of what the county owns and what we don't own, and what it would take to put this back, and the obstacles we have as far as fixing the dam and making it nice.
So, again, my name is Buddy Wright, I'm Deputy Public Works Director. Glad to have y'all all out this afternoon. There's 2 maps, they look identical probably from where y'all are sitting. This one doesn't have the property owner's names on it. It is a parcel map that has individual parcels broke out. This one has an individual parcel owner name, so if y'all come up with it, maybe it'll help you find exactly where you're looking for. But this is the lake, this is Violet Girl Scout Road. So I won't go to this one, but there is, so here's where the park previously was or still is, portions of it. The access the Commissioner's talking about, 60-foot access right there. That west driveway that the Commissioner was talking about is right here, but the county does not own that property. It's actually across a piece of private property now, so. But this is the main park area, the rising pipe of the dam is about right there. And then, of course, the lake. And then this area on this side of the lake right here is also, public property. And there's an access to it right here through this 60-foot right of way. Now, this is, as y'all know, undeveloped. There's properties going down to the lake there. But, so I know the county's invested out here in the past, and the last time this issue come up, a previous board decided not to fix the lake. Now, I think, you know, a commission now that is willing to revisit that. So what that would look like if we decided to do that, we would have to work through the water management district. We get permits just like the private property owners do. But we see no reason why they wouldn't allow us to go in there and fix that dam if we chose to do. You know, we can do the engineering in-house, we have an engineering staff, and have the people that can permit it. And if the board chose, we have, you know, manpower equipment to pull that off, to fix it. But that is the main part of the property. Certainly entertaining questions if y'all may have.
And I don't want to, I apologize for missing this, but Sheriff Adkinson is here tonight too, and Sheriff, I appreciate you being here. And I tell you, the cooperation with the Sheriff's office and with the Sheriff, that's how we get things done. So agencies working together get things done. You move mountains, but working apart you don't. So the Sheriff is, I mean, we all have a great working relationship, and he is, as always, and has been for years and years, committed to whatever we can do to keep the county safe. Does anybody have any questions with, for Mr. Wright on the property itself?
What's the size, the total size of the county property?
You know, Sheriff, I didn't check that. I would estimate probably between this and this, probably 10 acres. Maybe a little less, but if I had to guess. And I don't know what acres of that lake is.
Where people are driving in on the west side is actually a drainage control area where it goes down, where they're coming through, maybe the fence. It's a drainage control area where they're coming through. And that, when I'm talking about fencing, I'm talking about fencing it down in the water. Go down in the water with a fence. So, now I'm telling you, there's some four-wheelers that probably go around that with snorkels sticking up 6 foot high. But still, we make a good effort. And then if that happens, we address it at that time. If you see something, then you call and we get it taken care of. So, thank you, sir. Carl?
Thank you. Again, I'm Mark Wendel with Crime Prevention. One of my specialties is a little concept called SEPTED, which stands for Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design. For a lot of you, what does that mean? Basically, what we're trying to do is use the environment to influence the behavior of our criminals. Our criminals will succeed if they're not seen. Beaver Dam is a perfect example of what's going on with the criminal activity. It's overgrown, they're hiding behind the ditches and so forth. How many of you all have been to We Care Park? The park right across from the high school. What do you notice about We Care Park? When you get there, you can see from one end of the park all the way through to the other end, from side to side, everybody's going to be seen. You have a track that goes around the whole exterior. So why is that? So people can walk the track, and that's free security. This whole concept of the SEPTED is what the Commissioner and I engaged in back in February, and I did a full report on it. The nice part about my report is my budget is endless. I do not have a budget. All I do is make suggestions. And I utilize by going out to the community and finding out what suggestions would you want to your own park. What I heard a lot of the time was there's nothing for the kids to do. There's nothing for the kids to do up here. Well, now if we make this into a park that the kids can play in, the parents are going to come, we're going to out of here and get them over to Oakwood Hills or wherever we have to, but we don't want them in Oakwood Hills anymore. With that being said, one of the other concepts that the commissioner and I talked about, and what we have gone to, the Walton County Sheriff's Office has gone to, is a stratified module of policing. Back in my day, and in some of our day, the old way of policing was we'd drive anywhere we want. We'd see Miss Mary and John on the side, we'd stop and have a cup of tea and so forth, and we'd find, hey, what's going on in your community? We actually talk. Can you imagine a community that talks to the law enforcement? A community that can talk to the commissioner? A community that can work together? Man, wouldn't that be something if we could start talking again? Well, we got some of the younger age kids coming. And so that's what we expect. What we're doing is we're working on the stratified model. So our younger deputies don't really know how to talk as well. But they sure can follow directions. The stratified module, what had happened, how we incorporate that is when we have a community that calls 5 times every day, and we have a community that calls maybe once a month, where's our resources going? Where's the best place for our resources? Our best place for our resources is to drive those criminals out of the community that's calling 5 times every single day. Well, what I found out is Oakwood Hills, you guys complain about things, none of them are related to the park. You don't have suspicious people at the park. That's not true, exactly. You don't have vandalism at the park. You
We
see
don't have
what?
people shooting up at the park.
Not according to our statistics. So what we need from you, and this is what we're trying to engage you, we need you to see something, say something. If it's suspicious to you, it sure as hell is going to be suspicious to us. Pick up the phone. I don't want, if I hear one more person ever tell me, I didn't want to bother the law enforcement or I didn't want to bother y'all, I'll tell you right now, I'm slapping wrists. I'm going after it. It's not going to happen anymore. If you see something, say something. It is that important to us. Lieutenant Pitman is going to come up here in just a little bit, and he's going to tell you about his crime reduction plans for your community and what he's got his deputies doing. Why is this important? Because we want to run all those drug users. We want to run all those people that are sleeping out in the back doors and causing all the vehicle burglaries and residential burglaries. We want to run them out of there. I don't care where they go. Let them go up north to Paxton. We'll run them out of Paxton. Let them come down to Freeport. We'll run them out of Freeport. We want to be their pain in the rear. And we can only do it if you all help us. We can only succeed in your community if you all help us. The only way you can help us is pick up that phone and dial every single day. Right now, and I'm just going to throw some other little programs that we have at you. Right now, as of last year, we had 153 vehicle burglaries. 1 out of every 5 cars last year had a gun in it. 1 out of every 5 cars had a gun in it. How can you all help us reduce that? Lock your damn car doors. 96% of all these vehicle burglaries are because we, and I blame myself too, don't lock our car doors. See how easy it is to start working with each other? So if we lock our car doors, we would greatly appreciate it. I've got a system there. How many people have Ring doorbells? How many people have any surveillance cameras? 1, 2, 3. So we're starting to see it. How many people have heard about the Register Your Camera program? 1. That's great, because I need you to be my ambassadors. Congratulations, you just hired up on my team. All right, let me explain the Register Your Camera. The Register Your Camera program is a program. All you have to do is 4 simple things. You go to Walton County website and you put your name, your address, your telephone number, and your email address. Okay? And that address is the address of the camera. Please, some of you, I got cameras registered in Atlanta because these people own my own down here. They think I care about a camera up in Atlanta. I don't. I want to know where the cameras are down here. So in our county, every time you register your camera, it's a little red dot on the map. It tells us, hey, at 123 ABC Street, there's a camera there. How is that important? we talked about communication. We need to communicate with you, you communicate with us. We're working together as a team, right? So now let's just say maybe down in Mossy Head last night, and this don't get me wrong here, it didn't really happen, but we had 12 vehicle burglaries last night in Mossy Head. They're all unlocked, they're looking for guns and so forth. So we put a geo fence of a half-mile or 2-mile radius around that, and when we do that, guess what pops up? All the individual cameras that are now on our website, okay? And now we have a way to do one of 3 things. We can talk to you in person because we have your address. We can email you and say, hey, this is what's going on, or we can give you a telephone call. And we're not gonna ask you, it's not like we wanna register the camera to find out, oh yeah, we're watching Miss Perry drink something, oh, she's getting in the car, oh, we got it. That's not the purpose of this camera. What the purpose is you as a community working with us. Work with us. So what we're going to do is we're going to tell you about what's happened just down the road in your community. After we tell you that, we're going to ask you to put on your detectives and go to your cameras and look at your camera and see if you have the suspect on your camera. If you capture, because you guys are the smart ones that lock the car doors, oh yeah, I didn't get my stuff broken into because I'm smart, I clocked it. But they looked right at your camera. I got him. So now you're gonna call us back and say, hey, Deputy Smith or Deputy Dog, hey, I've got the guy and suspect, he just came by. So when he goes over there, we download the information onto a USB, we come out of there, we have you sign an affidavit saying that you haven't redacted, changed, modified, or enhanced the camera. We utilize that to solve the crime because we want to put these guys in jail. We don't just want to take reports. The only way we're going to reduce crime is when we start putting these kids accountable for their actions and putting them in jail. So now we're using this in court. By signing that affidavit, the state attorney's office will not call you to court. We won't have to utilize it. So now you're working with us. Do you understand how important it is as a community? We need your help. We need your eyes. You are the free security for Walton County. This program costs you nothing. Please, all of you that have a camera attached to your Ring doorbell, I don't even care if it's a game camera. If you're capturing what's happening on your street or next door neighbors, that is the way that we're going to capture them. The commissioner also talked briefly about working as a community, the Neighborhood Watch. The Neighborhood Watch program was once a great, fantastic program. Had a community like this, and we had Hicks who wants to volunteer on Mondays to walk the street, and John would go, who's going to walk on Tuesdays? And we had second person. We had 7 people out of a community. Can you imagine Oakwood Hills? How long would it take you to walk out? I tell you what, we'd get our steps in. Those little things that monitor your steps, we'd get them in. But here's what happens. I get tired on Monday, or it was raining on Monday. So all of a sudden, we are not working as a community because that guy who's working as the neighborhood watchman supposed to walk the streets and be the eyes. Yes, sir.
Not especially on wild dogs around there.
Wild dog.
I was going to say who would survive that one.
Yeah, that's what I did.
That's, if you see a wild dog, what are you gonna do? Thank you. If you see it, call it. Once again, see something, say something. So what our new Neighborhood Watch program is incorporated into the 7th Ed concept is, I just want you guys to know who your neighbors are. I want you to know who the guy is on the back side, on your front side, to your left, your right, and on your corners. That's all that your responsibility is. Even if it's the Hatfields and the McCoys, you know who it is, and you're going to watch out for his property. Okay? Because if you watch out for your property, and your next door neighbor's got the next 6 houses, and then all of a sudden we are starting to work together, we're a team. And as we work as a team, we become stronger. Because the only way we're going to win this is if we do it as a team. And that's the reason why Commissioner Parker's having this meeting. We need you guys to be the captain of those teams, and we need you to go out and you need to talk to your neighbors. Hey, all I want you to know is your name, address, telephone number, and please tell me what's going on. Please, if you're going to leave the community for a week and go, hey, you are us. You're watching after your neighbor's backside. You're watching after your neighbors. And if you see somebody strange going into the house, what are you going to do? Easy four-letter word. Just call. We're coming. And I've heard complaints, oh, it took us 25 minutes to get there. Listen, we're understaffed. But I tell you right now, you call, we will come. And if anybody tells you we're not gonna come, I will personally find them myself. We are coming. We will be there for you 100% at all times. It may take us a little bit because we have something more important, but even that suspicious person or that dog that is wandering out there, somehow we're gonna get out there and we're gonna make some notes in our cat about that dog. Okay? And the more times you call about that dog, or the more times you call about that guy who's wearing a black trench coat at 2 o'clock in the morning, I think that's suspicious. That's not the norm. Okay? So call. Other aspects of the septet, and I want to offer it to each one of you, is I do this not only for communities, not only for a park, I do it for individual homes. My business cards are in the back. I'll be happy to come to your home, and I am going to suggest, and that's all I'm going to do, is ways to make your home safer. I'm going to do it by adding lighting. I'm going to do it by giving you cameras. I'll tell you to put some cameras up. I'm going to do it by telling you to cut your bushes. Okay? The basic rule, just some little tips. Your plants can't be any higher than 2 feet, and your tree canopies can't be any lower than 6 feet. And why is that? That opens it up. If I have 6 foot to 2 foot to 6 foot, I can see across to my neighbor's yard, and my neighbor can see across to me. And now we're protecting each other. Opening up our sight lines. You put big, huge mounds of dirt, or if you put big trees and bushes and so forth, all you're saying is, hey, use this as cover. Please, hey, come rob me. Use this as cover, and then we come on over here where it's nice and dark. Don't worry about this light over here because I don't want to. That's the stuff we don't need. I will give you a free walk around. We'll sit there for an hour to 2 hours until you're satisfied with my suggestions. And once again, my budget, I got $1 billion budget. So when I say put up a 6-foot fence with hostile toppings on it, I'm suggesting it. If you can't afford it, I understand that. Tell me, hey, what else would you do? Anybody think about putting up a fence line with lemon trees? Serves the greatest purpose. Has anybody seen a lemon tree? How big are they? I'm guaranteeing. Exactly. You tell me this. If I'm a suspect and I run through the doggone lemon tree, I'm going to get caught. I'm going to leave DNA. I'm going to have blood dripping down, and we can just follow that track of blood, can't we? There are many ways that we can change the environment and utilize the shrubbery to change people's behavior. So with that being said, I'm going to turn this over to Lieutenant James Pitman. He is your District 1 Lieutenant. He is in charge all the way from Alabama down to Rock Hill Road, from Okaloosa all the way to the homes. He's got the biggest area to worry about. And any complaint that you have, you can call me, but I'd rather you call him. He's the one that's going to make the change.
Good evening, everybody. I'm James Pitman. I'm your district commander for the north end of the county. So, Oakwood Hills has, over the last 6 years, on our statistic, our crime analyst shows us that Oakwood Hills, the north end of the county, in comparison to other communities in the north end of the county, has the highest crime rate. And it has statistically month to month to month to month to month. And we're dealing with part 1 crimes being your burglaries, being your grand thefts, your major criminal mischiefs, things of that, and your quality of life calls, your noise complaints and nuisance animals and so forth that we're having to deal with. And it's going to take all of us working together to try to make a difference within your community. I've put together a crime reduction strategy plan for Oakwood Hills specifically. I'll be coordinating with the commissioner's office, with code enforcement, with public works, trying to get more information so that we can identify who's causing these problems in your community. But we need you guys to speak up and tell us also. We need you to come forward and make statements. Just telling us sometimes is not going to get a prosecution out of something, because we have to have something to qualify and corroborate how we know this person did it. We can't just say, hey, I heard about the John boy over here. He did this, but I don't want to make a statement about it. I don't want my name involved. If we're going to make a true difference in your community, and we're going to reduce crime, and we're going to improve your community, make it a better place for everybody, we all have
need you guys to tell us what's happening, and we need your willingness to come forward and speak up and say, enough's enough. We're gonna get rid of these needles on the side of the road. We're gonna get rid of these people that are stealing my car, truck, stealing my money, my tires, my trailer. Everything that goes on out there is happening almost every day. We're taking a complaint. Somebody's house getting broken into, somebody's getting something stolen, somebody's overdosed. There's complaints all the time, from the nuisance animals to the debris that's left in somebody's yard and it's looking, gaudy and ugly and it's just in such a disarray that it's unlivable, and these children are having to live in it. We gotta know about it. We gotta have a reason, and we gotta have a complaint to follow up on in order for us to do anything about it. And it's not just the sheriff's office, it's the commissioner's office, it's code enforcement, it's all of us together. And it's us working as neighbors together, telling each other, hey, look, did you see this? Did you see that? Let's make sure we call that in right now. Not tomorrow, whenever it's, it's convenient. It's 2 o'clock in the morning right now. I don't want to have to go talk to a deputy right now. How are we going to solve anything if we're not there when it's happening? It makes it a lot more difficult. I encourage you guys, if you can do it, put surveillance systems up around your home. That helps us tremendously. I'll be working with our K-9 unit, our street crimes unit, and our patrol staff that we have. And we're going to take every complaint that we get. We just need you guys to tell us all about it so that we can do something about it. Like they said, if you see something, say something. We'll do something. Okay? I appreciate your time. It's a great turnout. I'm very impressed with this community. It's obvious you guys care, but we need you guys to be the ambassadors for the change that we all want. Okay? But thank you.
One is talking about calling. Don't be afraid to call. Captain Gray, I appreciate you coming. I assure you that man will tell you that I have no call. I call. And I'll call when I see something that's not right or whatever, I call. And deputies will come. So the other thing that I wanted to briefly mention was, you'll notice here a month or 2 ago or something, we put piles of dirt in the entrance and the exit to Beaver Dam Park, and we blocked that one side off. We blocked it off because that's not our problem, number one. Where those fence posts we put up there, that's where our property line starts, right there. So we blocked it off, and the reason we blocked it off is because people contacted me, didn't they? And they said, there's glass in there, there's broken glass in there, it's dangerous, my kids are going in there, it's dangerous. Well, I can't take that liability. So until something was done for the park to make it safe, we had to close it. So we put the piles of dirt up there because signs were put up, people kept going in. And I know there's probably people still going in there, but it's on them if they get caught in there because they'll be trespassing. If they get caught with their signs in there, the park is closed. So that's the reason the dirt went up, until we can figure out what we're going to do with the park. If you'll notice, probably maybe 8 months ago to a year ago, the power line out there, under the power line, where everybody rides the 4-wheelers and does all their stuff out there in the power line, that there was no trespassing signs went up. Well, those trespassing signs went up because the district lieutenant at that time contacted me and said, we're having an issue with people going out there on that power line, and they're, they get out there, they're tearing it up, they're running from us, and they're dumping all kinds of stuff. They found stolen goods out there before, and that power line under that power line belongs to the county. The county owns that. So that's why the signs went up, is because they don't need to be out there, so we put no trespassing signs. So guess what? If you get caught out there on that, and there's trespassing signs are up there, you're gonna get in trouble. So if you see somebody out there on that power line, they're not supposed to be there, they're trespassing. So that's the reason that a lot of people I had calls, I said, why did you know anything about that? I said, yeah, because we had a problem out there, it's a problem with the sheriff's office, it's a liability on the county because we own it. So we had to try to keep people off of it for their safety, quit dumping stuff out there, when they just don't need to be out there. Yes, ma'am.
You said yes, ma'am.
You had your hand up, yes, ma'am.
I'm wondering why, on the power line, sometimes you see people have to fence off, and they have the horses and things out there.
Well, there's certain areas, and Buddy, you might, I mean, we had to research what actually belonged to the county and what didn't. So there's areas, some of them are borderline, some of the fences have got right up against the edge of it, it's borderline, but, we would have to legally verify where the fence is at to figure out if it's actually on the county property. So we'd have to look at that situation. Not the entire power line from one end to the other is ours. Where you see those signs up, belongs to the county. Gulf Power Company has an easement to go through there. So they have an easement that they can go through there and believe that they would be, I'm sure you've seen it, they've been through there in the last few months. So they have an easement to go through there, but the property still belongs to the county. So,
Can you tell us what the power company is doing on this power line?
yes, ma'am. They're running a new transmission line from what they call their Argyle substation, but it's not in Argyle, but that's what they call it. But they're running new transmission lines all the way down their easements, all the way down, it crosses Walton Road, it goes north of 90, it crosses, Walton Road, and then it cuts up, kind of around 20th Street. Goes to 331 and 90, they're going all the way to the south end, they're trenching under the bay, and they're going down to Santa Rosa Beach with new power lines. You saw these big concrete poles going up, they're doing that, and they're going right through the middle of the union with them. And I can tell you, we fought it as hard as we could to get them to not put those big heavy poles up there, but, you know, Gulf Power's on the power line, so I think she's confirmed that the something.
Is that-
Yeah, it's a new substation they're putting in for those power lines, and they're saying they're increasing their power, for increased need for their power.
That's Florida Power and
Our
Light.
power line.
So how's that gonna affect us around there on Shelf?
It's not. And I'm certainly glad,
Yes.
you tangle with Florida power lines, you're almost gonna lose an end, believe me. Right. Yes, sir, before you say something, let me say something, Mr. Brian. I'd like for everybody to try to make some type of commitment, and try to get people to put lids on their garbage cans and put them out. Because how many people have you pick trash up on the side of the road? Jerry Bryan's my closest neighbor, and him and I are sick of picking other people's trash up when we live on our property.
We picked it out of it.
Because they put it in garbage bags, and it's not just dogs and cats, blackbirds and crows, we got an abundance of them. And I've seen them this morning taking garbage out on the side of the road. And I don't know when your garbage runs, but mine runs Wednesday morning. And mine runs usually before daylight or right at daylight. And Waste Management will tell you when they're supposed to run. But putting your garbage out right after they run, don't do any good. It's gonna sit there till next week, and then it's gonna be strode up on the road in our area, and Jerry Bryan and I are gonna be out there picking it up. So I know some of the rest of you do too. So that's a big thing, and I think there's some things coming again. I hate litter. So it makes everything look bad. Yes, sir, Jerry.
Back to the pond, do we own the retention pond, the county own the retention pond down below the dam, or the little holding pond? It's about on the acre.
No,
Yeah,
you
I know what
don't.
you're talking about. That's where it runs
No,
off.
I tried to buy that piece of property next to that, and that piece of property, owns halfway out in the middle of that, and that one across the
I
road.
think Beaver calls that.
So it's private.
I think it's actually for sale.
On the one right beside it. I'll take this one again, or try to buy it.
A portion of that is so a portion. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. Has
Thank you,
anybody else had any trouble with the waste management picking up their garbage out there?
Nope.
I've had to call several times because they forget to pick up my garbage. And it sits, it's been there 20 years in the same spot. But I'm the only house on that side of the road on Cottage Hill Drive
that they do have is they have GPS on their trucks, they can tell how fast those trucks are going. So if you see them flying up down the road, well, I told him, I said, he's flying up down the road, he turns around and he comes back down that road, but they know how fast the truck is going, they come down that road. So don't be afraid to reach out to them, if you don't have that number, I'll get it, we'll get it.
I've got it, cause I kept them all.
But they've always been responsive to Canadians, everybody else I've had to call. And I didn't call them and say, I'm a commissioner, I didn't do that, I just called them, I told them where I live, and they responded to it. Yes, ma'am.
Is there an ordinance in Walton County where once your garbage is picked up, you take your things and put it back on the property? Or is it okay to just leave them willy-nilly out in the county right away?
I can tell you that, and I've discussed this with the sheriff's office, because I have had people that leave their trash out there, and it gets strode because they put it on the top of a piece of can, they put it in a crate, they put it in something out there, and birds destroy it. The problem is, you can't arrest that bird, you can't arrest the dog, because they're not actually doing it. Now,
They
we
should
have.
keep their cans on their own property, that's county right away, they don't legally own it.
I agree. Sheriff, anything?
Is there an ordinance?
Yeah, I mean, you've probably got two options there, really one. If they're being left out, it's not a county ordinance to my knowledge that deals that, it probably should be. That's a good, you know, one of the things is when you need a good ordinance, that's probably something to be done. Now, if you get to a point that you're leaving it for extended period of time, go out, you decide for litter, for sure you can do that. But I think that starts with a conversation or go with it. That's one of the problems that we have, and we see a lot. Sorry, I'm stepping here real quick. One of the problems we see a lot is just say, James here, you got a problem with James. James is uses his muffler's too loud or whatever. Nobody went and talked to James. And then a deputy sheriff shows up and says, you're in trouble, So a lot of this starts with communication. Now, also, some people are crazy. That's a technical term, and you don't want to go over the house, you don't want to have problems with neighbors. So yeah, we can do that, but what I say about that is let us go over and talk to them first before we start issuing citations. You know what I mean? That's the neighborly thing to do. And I know that speaking up to you, you don't all necessarily know each other. I just want to, and I'm going to take just a minute, I want to make one about something. Sorry, how long have you been deputy sheriff?
13 years.
13 years you've been deputy sheriff. By the way, how long were you trooper for Virginia State Police? Man's got 33 years in business, 13 years in Walton County. Captain Wright, how long did you work in Walton County?
24 years.
24 years in this county. Watch this. Lieutenant Pitman, how long have you policed here in this city and county?
27 years.
27 years. Why I tell you that? Because these people have lied. We just put them in yesterday. So our people, by the way, I know you're just taxpayers, not one of them get paid overtime, right? They're here because they care about the community. They change hours. We don't say we're perfect. We don't say we're solve every problem. But we just say we're part of this community. Yes, ma'am.
So how do we address the issue with the garbage cans, people leave their garbage out?
So what I would say is this is the way you start, right? And there's two things you do. One, go ahead, if it's been out there with you.
Oh, it's out there all the time?
Just bear with me. Right. Let's go ahead and we'll call it in, and we'll have somebody, or a community service officer, or we'll walk somebody up and say, look, Mr. Pitman, we get complaints about your garbage. Now, he may say, council, right? I'll be impossible, but we'll say, Mr. Pitman, here's a problem with your garbage. The second thing is, and I think this is where the county needs to come in and look at passing an ordinance that says, this is your responsibility within a certain amount of time. But I want to be reasonable. Because if I got an 85-year-old woman who needs help getting there, an 85-year-old man, I'm not sitting there to share out here driving citation, that's not going to happen.
Right.
So a little bit of balance, right? So the first thing starts with us going to talk to somebody, right? And see if we can help them, we can convince them to the right way. But that's why you have these men and women here who know this community. And I think that's just super, super important. And we can just make it.
Is there an ordinance out there between Oakwood Hills and Mossy Head?
But what kind of ordinance about the garbage?
Like the property?
Sheriff, I think she should, are you trying to address what we did about 2 years ago with the commissioner? The county ordinance people made a special addendum to?
Yes.
Yes. This is phase 2, 3, 4 of that, part. There's
So
two-
this is, yeah, this is, yes, ma'am, we're trying to get that, we're trying to partner with the county to do this. Code enforcement works with board of county commissioners, right? Our job is to help support them.
Well, that place on Dogwood and Walton, oh, Lord have mercy, that needs to be.
We have someone here from code enforcement tonight, and we can address that process.
But I want to be careful about something too, we talk about dead, so let's just talk about that real quick. You're still pretty young.
I know.
Deputy Sheriff, you gotta be careful before you roll up and tell somebody how to live their life. Now, I may not like it, but just because I don't like it doesn't make it illegal, right? So if it's an ordinance, if there's an ordinance, then the code enforcement can solve that, and we can work with them. But for, you know, and I'm gonna ask this, one reason I jumped up real quick is, there is something we can do almost immediately to help Beaver Dam Park, right? There's something I can almost do immediately, but I gotta know that you're committed to doing this and you're okay with it. Which is, we can put cameras, there's special kind of cameras I can put down there, and then we'll know every time somebody goes down there. It'll notify us if it's 2 o'clock in the morning, they go roll up in a 4-wheeler, we're gonna know. We just put them up out in Care, 19, and it has a tremendous effect. Because we know when you're not supposed to be out there tonight, so we're gonna know it. Right? And so we can send a deputy, but I need to hear from you, your community, because I don't want somebody to come up, the sheriff's trying to take liberty and freedom from everybody, he's putting a camera on everybody. This is a public park. How many of you would be okay with us putting a camera in the public park so that it doesn't get vandalized and taken care of? Okay, that's pretty much, okay, good. So I'll commit to the commissioner, what I said to him is, we think for any county park, that's a good thing to make sure they're not torn up. But I'm not just gonna go do it because I wanna do it. I wanna hear from these communities to make sure they're okay. Yes, sir. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I just want to make sure that, because we have keeper and 4-wheeler mentioned a lot, and so I want ATVs. So is there a way that we can work with them to where it doesn't seem like we're taking away their freedoms to use the area, so maybe we can have meet in the middle?
But just to be one, that's the commissioner. They decide what they can and can't drive them, but I don't have any dog in that fight. Other than if once you say that they can't do it, we don't allow it. So forget ATVs just for a second and say, should somebody be at the park at 3 o'clock in the afternoon? No. Okay. So if we're all okay with that, then what's gonna happen is that camera's gonna come on in dispatch and say, hey, somebody's in the park at 3 o'clock in the morning. And we'll send a deputy sheriff out there. Because there's actually a lot of stuff that people are talking about doing. I heard of Mr. Naylor sitting out there in the back, and there's some people, there's a lot of stuff that people are wanting to do to help develop and grow up with him. We want to see it be successful. You know, I mean, I think it's important, and so that's why we're here. I know a lot of this is about code and that stuff, and we don't necessarily do it. But I didn't just get here either. My family's been in this county 150 plus years, right? So we didn't just move in either, and I want this place to be successful. And I want you to be able to have your children, and more importantly, maybe, I want for your grandchildren and great-grandchildren to have a place to live that they feel okay to come back to. So we're not perfect, we're gonna keep working at it. But every time you call, by the way, to go back to somebody who said, please don't. Facebook and Texas, I saw the sheriff's office do anything. Yeah, you saw it 2 hours ago, then you posted it, then you called and told us. Right, you gotta tell us when it happened. You pay your taxes for a reason. Pay it, let us come out there. The other thing is, a lot of times we don't go directly to the person that calls. Why not go to the person that calls? Because a lot of times you don't want us coming there, and it's not necessary. You just said, I saw somebody walking down the street. So we may not come directly to you to start with, we may go by later. But go ahead and call. And if you call me and say it's not being done, I'm gonna call Lieutenant Pitman, and we're gonna talk about it. Because he's the sheriff after 5. That's what I tell him. That's his responsibility to make sure that you don't call me unhappy. You call me unhappy, I call him unhappy. Understand how that works?
Yes.
And so he's trying to make 30 years, so we're just trying to make sure he gets it. Anyway, that can answer any question you have. I just say this to say we're committed to this community. I'm not here. Hey, it's not election year. I'm not my time here, right? I'm here because I want to care about this community. So we're going to work with any way we can.
Let me address the ordinance, the garbage ordinance a minute, because that's actively being worked on now, and I've actively been working on it for months. I get by and full board again, one thing on their own. And I'm County too. I grew up about 5 blocks this one, right over here. So I've been here all my life. I never moved away from it. So the garbage thing is, again, I hate litter. But there's a fix to that a lot of people have done that certainly you're not ever going to prevent litter, but you can certainly help. The garbage can thing, I think that everybody ought to have a big garbage can. And I'd like for the county to provide everybody with a big garbage can. One of the big ones, one of the ones where the garbage truck can pick it up with an automated device and it dumps it in there. One that's got a lid on it heavy enough that it's not gonna, stuff's not gonna get out of it. And you might be, depending on how the ordinance is written, that you might have, if you need 12 garbage cans and you be provided one, you're gonna buy those. And they'll be provided to you how many you need. You know, I don't need one garbage can 99% of the time. But some families need more garbage cans than that. But in my opinion, the way I like the ordinance to be written, that we provide the garbage can, include the maintenance of it. If wheel runs off of it, wheels there, listen, I bought one of them big Mac Daddy garbage can 10 years ago from Walmart. It's in good shape as it was my home. And the garbage truck picks it up, but I'll tell you one thing, it helps prevent. And right now they're picking it up by hand. You don't swing one of them puppies very far. You just don't. So that would help keep a lid on it where it keep the birds from getting out of it. And in my opinion, the way I like the ordinance written, that if you set your garbage down outside of that, it's ordinance. So if you put a bag of garbage on the side of that, it's against, and they're not gonna pick it up. Because what's gonna happen is the garbage company, instead of having people out there to pick the garbage cans up, it's gonna be picked up with this new, they ain't gonna pick that bag up, gonna pick the can up. So once we do that, we eliminate birds from picking out of it. We got, everybody's got a can that looks alike, that makes the neighborhood look better. And they're all sitting out there, and chances are that they might bring that garbage can in, and we can write an ordinance like that. But you gotta remove it from the right of way. We can write an ordinance however it's reasonable that we can do legally. But they have to bring it in, chances are they're not gonna take care of their garbage, you know, get it off the right of way. Somebody might steal it. Now, I put a caveat on that, if somebody, you know, I said we provide maintenance, but now if you're having the wheels off of it every week, then there's gotta be a limit to that, how much they're gonna fix your can if you're using it to haul concrete in or something like that. But that's what I'd like to see move forward, and we've been working on that, and hopefully we'll have something, I'm hoping in the next few months that we can bring to the board for possible adoption. So, yes ma'am.
In the street that we live in, there's several mobile homes that people rent. And what we've experienced so far is people that rent on our street, they don't care about the trash. They put it out wherever, you know, and the landlord or the owner of the property, he don't care either, because he's getting his, he don't live here, and but he's getting his money. What do we do? It's not helping the neighborhood any.
That's the trash that Jerry Ryan now is picking it across the street from us. It's because they rent it. And they'll have they're renters, they're getting a rent, and the renters don't, you know, not every renter like this.
No.
But some, they don't have buy-in in the neighborhood. Because they're renting, they're not owning it, they're not paying property taxes, they have no buy-in in the neighborhood. This morning, last thing I done before I left my house was pick a cigarette pack up in front of my driveway. Well, I quit smoking February 2nd, 1987 at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm reading your shirt, wasn't one night. So, they don't have money. They come down the road, they just throw their stuff out the window. It happens all the time, you all see it. And it's everywhere. They do it in the south end on Highway 98. Drive down there looking at media sometimes, close to a red light. Anywhere. And you'll see the same stuff. So I think this ordinance will be good. You'll see some signs. I'll tell you what kind of buy-in I had on it. A long time ago, back in the 80s, 90s, I worked for the county. I was the first emergency management director the county ever had. There's little littering signs up beside the road that says, keep Walton County beautiful, don't litter. I put those signs up, got a grant to put them up, and that was back in the early 90s to do that. I hated litter all my life back then. So that will help, and hopefully, when you see it coming, and we'll have some complain about it, we'll have some that don't want it, but I think that'll come, because my answer to that is to be like litter. You want your neighborhoods trashed up, and we mentioned that Bruce Naylor is here. Bruce still here? There he is. Good to see you. A bad eye was looking that direction. So, and he, I think he's gonna talk a little bit about that, what it means to the neighborhood, so, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. It's coming, it's coming. It's coming, and I'll go ahead and put this disclaimer out there, because I've been, Lord knows, Paul Otto, are you here? Where'd he go? He was in here, there he is, sitting back there. I live on dirt road, and it's horrible dirt road. The worst part of that road right from my house, and I complain about it. Buddy, I'll tell you, I call him and complain about all that. There's mud out there when it rains, all that mud holes right there in front of my house, because it's flat below right there. But there's a paving plan that I ain't anything to do with, that Public Works puts together, and they have a paving plan for the whole county of areas they're gonna go in. When I took office, I asked them, what's the paving plan for Oakwood Hills? And they told me what the paving plan, and I took office November 2020. So, it's coming. I don't know when it's gonna be starting Oakwood Hills, but there's a plan for probably the next, am I misspeaking, saying 4 years? 5 or 6 years, every road out there looks like we're getting paid, every one of them. And I've even went so far as to look at some of those roads that go into the areas. You'll see a lot of times you'll have the pay road won't stop, well, there's lots that's platted on beyond that. And I've had people say, well, how come the county didn't pay that road? Well, there's nobody out there. But we're gonna try to go in some of those areas and go ahead, if we're paving up to this point, it'd be easier just to go ahead and save money down the long run and go ahead and pay, because somebody's gonna be out there at some point in time at those couple blocks. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. I know there's people who live on Girl Scout, and I'm sure they have the same problem, because there's a drag from Girl Scout that hit Woodlands. They come around my curve at Cottage Hill and Buckeye, they've almost took out my fence, I don't know how many times. And then they go screaming down Cottage Hill, turn and hit Valley View and come out on 9. Is there something that we can do to slow these people down? Because I have called, and my neighbors have called, because unfortunately their kids are out there riding bikes all over. And, you know, I know some people don't like them, but what about speed bumps or something like that to slow them down?
I'm gonna let Mr. Wright talk about speed bumps, because I have asked about those too, and let him tell you about speed bumps.
Yeah, so the county does have we don't call it speed bumps, we have a traffic common policy that's approved by, I don't think Commissioner Parker was on the board again, been several years back. So, it requires community involvement. Not every road qualifies for them. There's a criteria has to meet as far as speed limit and average daily trip counts. Obviously, we wouldn't want to speak about on Highway 90. Probably like Girl Scout Road, probably not. Oakwood Lake Boulevard, Woodland Boulevard. That's kind of a connector road through there, so it probably wouldn't qualify. But if you'll contact Public Works, I can get you a copy of the policy. They're really more designed for like a residential neighborhood road, subdivision road, but we won't know if it qualifies until. But what it does require is before you can qualify to ask for one, it asks you to 3 formal complaints to the sheriff's department before you try to go through that policy. But there is a policy, we'd be glad to share it with you, talk with you, see if where you're talking about qualifying. And,
It took us 30 years out there to get that, Cottage Hill and Woodlands paved. And when they paved it was already a drag strip mudding road, but then they paved it and it became more of a drag strip through there. And they're constantly, and you can hear them, I mean, I've called 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, they're spilling down tires. There was a guy, you know, he just almost took my fence out the other day. And you call, by the time you get the deputies out there, they're long gone, you know. So it's like.
But not always, because I've called before in my house, and part of my property, part of it's on Girl Scout Road, part of it's on Dirt. But I've called before, and they were still up there going up down the road, and yes, we got there, still getting cut down the road. So you never know when they're going to turn around and come back. And I hear stuff all the time, and I tell you another news that, We Care Park connection got cameras, but my office is right now in We Care Park. Here, a few months ago, I tipped about 5:36 o'clock, and I stopped my office to get something, some paperwork or something. I was in there and I heard something, just getting, I'm like, well, what is that? So I walk out the door, there's a kid on the motocross walk on black and old soccer shoes. Ripping it, on in the door. It's as far as you go, Bill Bobby tires on, it's tearing it all to pieces. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So it's in the city, so I called the police department, and within about probably 5 minutes or less, they were there. So when they got there, he was still waving up and down, when the officer come around the corner, he was just getting it, tearing it all to pieces. So you never know when you call, think that they're gonna be gone, because they just be going around turning them loose. I see them all the time, sitting down the road, and they'll go up, and they'll come back, and then you hear them. I hear them. I'm talking about this, I hear it. Yes, sir.
I have a couple of issues here. We were talking about paving. I'm curious, I'm fairly new out in that area. I've only been there 5 years. But, I'm curious why some of those dirt roads are paved up to a certain house and stop, and that's the end of it. Now, we qualify that because I'm not everybody, but the next street over, they put in a new trailer 2 years ago, and it was completely dirt one into the other. But guess what? They just to the other side of that funny property.
Why? I don't know.
How does that happen?
Particular road, I don't know. Things are different now with the commissioners in the road department than it used to be.
Okay.
Used to, the road department, the commissioners had input, they had their own road foreman. They pretty much control what went on in their district, and they could tell that road foreman, that road crew what to do. It's not like that anymore. The only person I can tell what to do is my aide that works in my office. I hire my aide, and that's it. The road foreman, they work for public works. Now, I can call the foreman, because I have people come say my road, it needs some rock on it, or it's washed out, or it's whatever. A lot of times, I will look at it myself, because I don't like sitting in the office. I like to get out and look at things. But they'll go out and look at it, or we'll call the road foreman and say, and I'm not even gonna try to explain how our district is split up between foremans. So if I have 2 different foremans, one of them's not even in my district, that handles part of my actual commissioner district. But Public Works, they do the roads, they know what they're doing on that, because, again, commissioners used to do that in the old days. I don't know anything about road maintenance. I know when it's bumpy, or it's dirty, or it's muddy, or whatever, but that's what these guys are trained to do. So, Buddy might be able to touch on that and why something was,
Well, I mean, I date back about 10 years in public works, but I don't know specific roads you're talking about now. If you see roads where we paved, I know it kind of looks like a hodgepodge sometimes, we'll pave here, some. The planning commissioner was talking about, we have about a 6 to 7 year plan. We started doing some off of Walton Road, up to the north part of Walton Road. The reason we chose to pick there, because we had some drainage issues up in that area, we wanted to stabilize those roads and get those paved. But we do have a plan over the next 6 to 7 years, if the budgets hold out, and we have a plan to try to pay the majority of Oakwood Hills out. If the budgets hold out. And I'm not sure the specific roads you're talking about, but now, there are roads in Oakwood Hills where, I know, can't think of one around the top of it, but there's a few roads that the county only maintains a portion of that road, so, that may explain why the
put them there at that one location so we could empty them and bring them back. And I mean, they were making runs as hard as they could, but at some point in time, we had to cut that off to be able to, you know, we couldn't keep them there. Plus, there was all that stuff they were putting out there. The county has, once a year, they have what they call Adamson Day, where you can bring stuff and stuff that you can't hold, like you can't throw paint or all the stuff in your garbage can. Not supposed to, but for the garbage truck to pick it up. But they have a day, one day a year that you can come bring whatever that stuff you want, tires, paint, that stuff, and get rid of it. And it's okay to bring it. And the county advertises when those days are, when those locations are.
Okay, just one other thing, is, what kind of time frame, maybe, well, I guess two things. Please, let me interject here, the renovation of that park out there by the lake, put restrooms in, women and children, free of that.
There used to be restrooms in there, and they beat holes in the walls. They busted the toilets all to pieces. We put cameras up at Beaver Dam Park, and Sergeant, I might let you touch on what we done to the painting situation out there, but we had the same thing at Beaver Dam Park when the offices had. They were destroying the bathrooms. We had in a 3-month time period, we had the bathrooms destroyed like 3 different times. I'm talking, they busted the toilets off out of the floor. They busted the sinks off the wall. People wondered why in the back of the building where my office is at, there used to be bathrooms back there. I closed them off because they went in there and busted it. They flooded the offices, I mean, numerous times. I mean, it was floating in water in there. So we closed it off and then finally got a new set built in the soccer field on the east side of the building. But they was tearing stuff, there was graffiti on the dugouts, I mean, we found all kinds of stuff. I mean, they were having fist fights on the basketball courts behind my office, videotaping it. Some of that stuff has went on at Beaver Dam Park as well, recently before we closed it off. So all kinds of stuff was going on, so we put cameras up. We've caught some people in there at Beaver Park since the cameras has been there, but the graffiti was a real problem, and there was gang graffiti. And I mean, it was identified as actual gang graffiti here, that the gang symbols they were putting up in there. So Sergeant Wendel got with the school and got a project. I'll let you explain that we could do at Beaver Dam Park if we get it rebuilt.
Once again, let me go back to the SEPTED concept, crime prevention through environmental design, using the environment to influence the behavior of others. The We Care Park project was my second project that we did. We had the same project down in the Driftwood Estate community, where we had graffiti, anything that was horrible that you could possibly think of was being put on these walls and bathrooms. So the SEPTED concept was, hey, let's paint a mural. Let's make this beautiful. And if we paint a mural up there, those people who are graffiti artists and those gang members, you know what they think of themselves? They think of themselves as artists too. And artists will not disrespect another artist's work. So we painted 6 murals in Driftwood. This was over 18 months ago, and we have not been tagged one time yet. We Care Park was the same concept. And I'll be honest with you, the commissioner didn't believe in it at first. Okay, and when I told him about it, and I showed him, he says, man, that's beautiful, we're gonna do that. And we did it within 45 days. We got the school involved, we got the businesses involved, and here's the ironic thing about it, I'll make it real short and simple. The art teacher was involved, and she says, yeah, I'll make this into a class project. We took a building that was getting graffiti and getting tagged and so forth. And the art teacher said to the students, hey, this isn't an art project. You take this home. And we took all the applicants or all the homework projects and we put it into a little bowl. We gave it to the executive staff at the school, who reduced it from about 75 to the top 20. And from the top 20, we took those and we gave them to the commissioner and said, you narrow it down to the top 6. The top 6 murals that you want to go up on this wall. And we, as a team, it wasn't me, it was the Walton County Health Improvement Project, it was the art teacher, it was the commissioner and so forth, went out to the businesses and said, hey, Bruce. And Bruce Naylor, I'll be honest with Bruce and Michelle Johnson from CPB and Bank, stood up and said, you know what, I'm gonna give a $500 scholarship to the winning murals. Those kids that got those winning murals got a $500 scholarship, but it was their responsibility to get a team to help paint that, as well as the school. And as we started painting that, we came together. The school believes in it. The school teachers, hey, I can't wait till the next project. The community businesses believe in it. They're already starting to come to me. I've got businesses saying, hey, I want to be part of that program. So if we continue that same thing into the Beaver Dam Park, when we build a brand new, hey, how many of you are artists? Congratulations, you may be one. Because you're going to be part of it, we're going to need you to help paint. Okay? But we're going to make this place beautiful again.
I can tell you that, look at the amphitheater, if you get around Waycare Park, look at the amphitheater, and look at it. Those kids done it. And the art teacher helped them, some of their parents was out there, they done it at night, they done it on the weekend. I mean, and it really looks good, it's done that. So what kind of buy-in do you think the kids have when they get talking about it and do, you know, that their kids, their peers, they've done that. So it's awesome, it looks good, I mean, and so far, it's good. But if somebody defaces it, they're gonna can it count.
What about lighting in the park? You know, based on our prior experiences and other things, we have found to get rid of the drug dealers and all of that is light it up. You light it up and they don't like it and they leave.
Lighting is a very good example of the septet concept. Even better yet than just lighting is motion detecting lighting. Okay? That is, and in the plan that we've talked about right here, here's the septet for your park, Beaver Dam. It is talked about in there. We want motion detecting lighting in locations, because what's going to happen is when we as deputies drive by, if a house is always lit, oh, Jones' house is always lit, Jones' house is always lit, doesn't mean anything. But as a deputy, if I'm going down the road and all of a sudden that's a dark road and that pops on, that's going to draw our attention. So motion detecting, and once the light comes on, you get a criminal thinking, and we won. Okay? Because those criminals, some of them are some of the dumbest people in the world. I'll tell you right now, anybody who wants to go to the dark side is pretty dumb to me. Okay? Exactly. So if you get a criminal thinking, how do I get around this light, or how do I get around this area? We've already won, because what they're going to do is, forget it, that's too much. I want to go to the next house, or I want to go down the road. So motion detecting lighting is part of the septet concept, and it will work. And you're exactly right. Lighting is a proactive approach to protecting your community.
I think just clearing out that blue in between, that's cool.
What kind of timeframe do we have for the project at the park out there, by the way?
But when we get finished with this meeting, at the very end of it, I'm gonna ask a big important question to everybody. So I'll round back around to that in just a minute. Go ahead. I want to get Bruce Naylor to come say a few words. Bruce has been a partner in all of this. Bruce is a partner at We Care. Bruce, if you don't mind, tell the story about the art project when you were small. When I talked to you about it, the story you told me, because that's, and Bruce said this when we had the presentation of scholarships in the high school to the winners. I got Bruce to tell this story because it was just how in the world him and I started having this conversation and with Bruce, and then you'll see when he tells the story about how awesome that is. So,
thank you, Mike. Yes, my name is Bruce Naylor. I own Naylor Realty, and it's really great to see the community, see you turn out like this, the concern, the care you have, the love you have for your area and our area, because that's really what is going to make a difference and continues to make a difference where we live. We love where we live, and love is a verb, and love connotes action. And we are trying to take action here tonight to make our community better. Just like the idea that Sergeant Mark and Mike came up with, the mural concept. We don't know the impact that we can have on people's lives. When I was a kid, like 8 years old, in this little neighborhood that I grew up in, they had an art contest, a fall festival. And they taped off these little windows, and you could go down and paint a fall festival scene. And they had age groups, like 6 to 8, 9 to 10, 10 to 15, whatever. And I entered it like 8 years old. And so I painted my little mural on the wall, and on the window. And then that night they had an awards ceremony and a presentation. And I won the blue ribbon. So for the rest of my life, from the time I was 8 years old till today, I have loved to paint and draw, and I'm a watercolor artist. But it was all out of this love and that joy of winning that first contest. So when Mike asked me to present an award to an artist, I thought, well, that's fantastic, Mike, because this is my opportunity to pass it on, and possibly that one win could inspire that student to be a famous artist one day. So
I didn't know that story.
he didn't know that when he asked me. So when I heard he was doing this tonight, this is right down my alley, because my responsibility is to sell your real estate, is to price your real estate. And I've been doing it for 35 years, so it's been an exciting time to be a part of Walton County's property and seeing it grow and change. And it is an exciting time for you folks, because you're at the right place at the right time. We are in big demand, and that demand is not going to change, and we need affordable housing. And what we're talking about tonight is how you can affect the value of your property. And I love the idea of the neighbor and you working to clean up your yard, to clean up your park, to make your neighborhood safe is going to increase your investment and the value of your property. And we're seeing that happen in different neighborhoods. It makes a difference. You clean up your house. You clean up your yard. You clean up the front. You clean up your garbage. You clean up your park. So that when I drive that customer through the neighborhood, I go, check it out. This is what this neighborhood's done. Look at this. Look at the garbage cans. Look at the improvement in the neighborhood. And the way real estate value is determined is supply and demand. Supply, okay, are there any lots available? Are there any homes available? And the demand. Our demand is the highest it's ever been. We're the fastest growing county in the state of Florida, 6th in the United States. We need places to live. So here's how it works. We have a lot of properties just like yours. Like here's your house and your property. And then here's another house in another section of Walton County, and they're similar. Same age, same size lot. And I got the customer in the car, okay? Well, we drive over here, we look at this one property, and it's for sale for $180,000. Then we drive over here in your neighborhood, we drive by your house, same size, same house, same age, it's $180,000. Well, what's the buyer gonna do? He's gonna buy the property that has the nicest park, the cleanest yards, the neatest neighborhood. That's what you're here tonight, to protect your investment. That's why Commissioner Barker's here tonight, to help protect your investment. But it takes all of us. It takes you. That's why the sheriff is here tonight, to protect you and your investment so you can live that American dream. So you can see your property value increase as the demand is increasing for your property right now, folks. So I'm excited to be here to encourage you to continue to be involved, and you will benefit from a real estate investment point of view, and you will profit as a result of your action because you love where you live. So, thanks. Thanks for all you guys are doing.
Can I just throw one more thing in? I know Georgina and code enforcement is here. Do you all realize that code enforcement cannot be proactive in your area? Did you know that the only reason that they can respond to the trash in the area is if you all call? You need, once again, the concept, see something, say something. Although it applies to us, it's the same concept for code enforcement. Okay? So if you have that neighbor that's trashing the neighborhood, call them. The more calls they get on that individual, the more that they can start an investigation. Okay? With that being said, I just want to end my aspect of it with one last thing. We do have a Crime Stopper hotline. I've got brochures, I got pens back there. Anybody that, if your area, we know your area has got a lot of crime in it, please grab the Crime Stopper information, call us. If you don't want to tell us over the phone through our dispatch, just call our Crime Stopper number. We can get you money. Once again, free money, I'll do anything for free. Okay? I'll pick up that telephone for free. If you tell me you have to pick it up 100 times a day, so long as you're going to give me money. It's an opportunity. The Crime Stopper, how it works real quick is you call in and say, hey, John Jingleheimer Smith is living at blah, blah, blah house over here, and he's wanted for assault and battery, whatever, or you have information of the crime. That telephone call actually goes out of the state, and they're going to ask you, oh, tell me your name. You don't have to tell them your name. Just say, I want to remain anonymous. What they're going to do is say, okay, and they're going to assign you a number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is your number. A month later, if your tip is the tip that solved the crime or helped out, you will call back to Crime Stoppers, and Crime Stopper says, yes, tip 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All you have to do is go down to the bank and catch and get your money. That's it. Your name is never known. Now the bank teller is going to say, oh, wait a second, hey, sign your name here. Just put your mark on it. You don't have to sign your official name. Your bank stuff, it is totally anonymous, okay? So please, if you see something, if you know something in the neighborhood, it's now is the time for us to work together. Call us. I'm begging you. Call us on every dog that's out there. Call us on the trash that's being left out there. Call us on the speeders that are out there. Call us on the suspicious person that's walking by. Call us on the break-ins in the neighborhood. Call us. If we don't know, you can't expect us to respond, okay? So I beg you, just do 2 things. When you go home, lock your car doors, okay?
In your house.
In your house, yeah. And then if you see something, say something. That's the big thing. And I appreciate, once again, Sheriff, I appreciate your support. Captain, I appreciate you also being here for us. Gentlemen, you guys are the winners in this, okay? Because what he's about ready to announce to you or ask of you changes your lives, makes you part of our team, and could increase the value of your home. With that being said, thank you, Commissioner, for being here tonight.
I appreciate you all help. Listen, this is your community. This is your county. It's my community. It's my county. So I want it to be safe. That's what these guys are here for, and the sheriff commits to that. I want it to be clean. I want to have nice neighborhoods. We all want nice neighborhoods. So, everybody says, oh, Oakwood Hills is back. I live in Oakwood Hills. I chose to live in Oakwood Hills. I bought property about 6 years ago out there. That's where I choose to live. So, we want it to look nice. We want it to be nice, respectable neighborhoods. We want people to be able to ride through if they come through and say, hey, that's nice. If you want to organize some type of a cleanup day, let me know. I'll help you with that. We'll get some help. I'll put out some cans or get a dumpster put out now. We can't clean out everybody's garage. We can't go clean stuff up. Can't go pick up stuff out of your yard. The county dump is free to take stuff. It don't cost a dime. You can't carry it there for you, but to pick stuff finish with this before I do, and I know we've been running about an hour and a half, and these people can get home. But Miss Georgina standing back here is code. So if you have questions about the cleanup, what's been going on, the roundup, as I call it, we done, and where that's at, and what the progress is, talk to her after the meeting, and she'll be glad to tell you. So if you have any questions about code enforcement, call them and ask them. If you're wondering if something needs to be done, again, they're not proactive, they're not gonna go just jump on somebody's property, you can't do that. But if somebody calls, you can do that. So, yes, ma'am.
What about the grass that's next to the road on my street? The weeds are so high, but to the top, to the bottom stop sign.
I agree with you, long in my area too. until
Another
about 2
week,
days
that
ago.
stop sign's gonna be gone, and people are gonna blow through that intersection.
Call me, and
They blow through that.
all we do is Teresa will call, the road department and say, hey, it's time to cut the grass. And, I mean, they get it, you know, they got a lot of grass to cut, and they're all over, and I'll tell you this, and I'm not gonna blame her for being short-handed, everybody's short-handed. We can't get people to work. Sheriff can't get people to work. It's harder on him because they actually have to come to work. They have to pass a drug test. They can't smoke dope and then be a cop the next day. And so it's a little bit different. But we can't get people to work. It's hard. We have all kind of openings. We can't get people to get out of their house and get off the TV or whatever they're doing to go to work. So it's tough. But if you'll call us, we'll get the grass cut. I know it was high on Girl Scout Road, it was high on Trout Drive, it was high until about a week ago, and then
Valley
cut.
View is up to the stop sign. the
Jerry and I
bottom
cut
side.
our ditches most of the time out on Girl Scout Road, we take turns cutting each other's side of the property and cut.
Well, I cut mine out in front to the road, but, you know, I'm not cutting across the street.
Calls,
Like,
don't sit there and look at it. If you see something, calls. And I'll tell you, if you see somebody where they throw something out on the side of the road, you know, after a while, Waste Management's not really responsible to pick up a sofa. And we was talking about renters and tenants earlier. Tenants, landlords sometimes think that it's okay when they have a tenant move out, take all their old furniture, clean it out, and put it out there on the right of way. That's not okay. It's just not okay. But I'm not gonna let it sit there forever. I'll get somebody to pick it up. I don't wanna see it sitting there forever. It makes the whole neighborhood look bad. So I'll get somebody, even though it's not road department, needs to be working on the roads and stuff, I'll get them to come pick it up if we need to pick it up. But call us. Pick up the phone and call. If
So
we
is
can
it
do something
state-
about it, we will.
Is it state roads that does the side streets and all that back there in Oakwood Hills, or is it county
No,
road?
county does.
County road?
Drive down Moonflower Street
Yeah.
So what
That's-
now?
Drive down Moonflower Street.
Yeah, that's where the grass is up to the stop sign.
Get on it, it's being rode down right now. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
It sounds like you would like to issue a park as a property owner on the lake, which is about 30 of us that own property right off of that lake. If it comes down to maybe the county not approving the park, will the dam be a different issue from the park if that happens?
That's gonna be probably a public works question. But let me get around to my last statement before and I'll round back around.
I've got a question for you on, you said that the code compliance is proactive.
They're not right.
They're not proactive. So I had, I think I discussed with you before, I had an RV. It has been there since basically bought the house, built it shortly after. I had the corner post as an RV on my property line. It was right there in the corner. This is my neighbor. And code, came home with a sign on my door telling me I had to move my entire RV because the one post, which was on my privacy fence, was not within code compliance because of the setback. Granted, it was on my property, but I had to completely tear down my RV, move it to a different portion of my property, make sure it was, I think it was 17 and a half. Yeah, 7 feet off my property line, where I can even start it. And really my RV can't be there. Even though it was okay for my property, my privacy fence and all my property line. And part of the canopy was on that side of it. He didn't call on me.
I can't answer that, I don't know, but when we get done this meeting, she'll be able to find out answers to that.
I had to spend a lot of money on pocket. RV.
If you'll talk to her, she'll be able to.
And the thing is, after he come back around, said, yeah, this is okay. Told me I could have left my RV sitting where it was at, and just became a.
Talk to her about it, she'll get you answers. So let me wind back around to the park. Purpose of this meeting is to find out if we have enough community buy-in to everybody to let's help protect the investment that your tax dollars will be making if we redo that park. So, does everybody want that, does anybody that don't want that park redone, that would like to see it redone? Do you think the community in Oakwood Hills will support that park and help us protect it? Could we all agree to that?
Yes. Like I just told him, I think a lot of the big issue will go away just by clearing out that wood line.
If we can buy it. If we can buy it. So there's a lot of factors like we talked about, but we've got some hurdles we've got to overcome to do that. You don't have to sell it to us. So far it hasn't. So here's my vow, that if we would do that, if everybody out there can help out on that, and let's try to increase the community crime prevention techniques and everything that Sergeant Wendel was talking to you about tonight, then I will move forward and do my best to get that park rebuilt. I'll do everything possible to do that. We'll have to go through the hurdles that we talked about, getting the piece of property, getting the permits to be able to fix the dam. We'll do that, and I'll take it to the board, and I'll try to get my counterparts to agree to that. Because it's gonna cost some money. But I'm pretty sure that I can get them to agree to that. So I think that all the commissioners want community things. They want, every one of us supports community parks. We do. So I think with this type of support from the area, I'll do that, and I'll take that march forward, and I'll do that. So that's my commitment on that. That I think we can, if we can get the property, if we can get everything, the hurdles, if we can overcome those things, then we're already working on it. I've already started that process. So if we can overcome that and get these things taken care of, I'll move forward doing everything in my power to get that park built. And that includes fixing the dam. Yes, ma'am.
Can they put some sign in it? I lived in that neighborhood for probably 9 months before I even knew that park existed. And I just happened to stumble across it one day, because I walk a lot of those streets for my exercise every day. And I was like, oh, what's this? Oh, there's a park here. I never knew there was a park there. And, maybe if they put a couple of signs on some of the streets that cut all the way through.
We can, and we will, and because if we redo it, it'll be nice. And yes, I'll have a good set of bathrooms there. I'd like to have barbecue grills out there. Make it nice, again, fix that washing area, make it flat, so it'll actually be a beachy area there, so you can enjoy it, and it won't wash out, because it washes out now because it does like this, and then when it rains, and this one drives the cars down, and four wheels and everything up, else it tears all these.
And you can swim in that lake? Does anybody, that's the word, is that okay? Just asking.
It's spring dead, it's pretty clear all the way through.
It's very warm.
Okay. I've never was able to get close enough to the
Well, I
water.
don't think I drink it, but I mean, I was swimming in it, probably, I've been in it.
And then you worse for something in the lake.
Yeah.
No, I haven't swum there either, but.
So is that acceptable to everybody?
Yes.
And if you see something, I'm telling you, it wasn't a month ago, we had kids in there fighting, well, just before we blocked it off, we had kids in there fighting, videotaping each other, girls, no doubt, fighting. So we had the same thing for each other park, they was having fist fights in there. Well, the last time they done that, we had the cameras up, so they were smiling for the cameras. When they done, when they walked, they went to the bathroom, was fighting, they came out bloody, they were staring into the cameras, and they came out. So it was very easy to identify them right across the street with the school staff when you do that work.
We will work diligently to protect your community. We need your help calling us. So everybody, there's 100 pens back there. I want to make sure that you understand. We have 2 telephone numbers. If it's a life or death situation, call 911. If it's not a life or death situation, please get in contact. This number goes directly to our dispatch. It doesn't go to the clipboard that
Lid
says.
off the garbage cans, not 911, though, just to be clear. All the same page.
Yeah, it's 892-8111. Take one of my business cards, it's got the number on it too. Do whatever you have to do, but please, see something, say something. With that aspect too, how many people are familiar with our Walton County website page? You know who some of our two greatest PIOs on the world are? Does anybody have any idea who our PIOs are? Corey DeBrittany and Lindsay Darby. They're the ones that post every day. If we got an accident at 2 o'clock in the morning, they're the ones notifying you guys. They're also the ones that are involved in what's called Nextdoor. If you guys are not familiar with Nextdoor, Nextdoor is basically a private community on the web. I hate computers. I'm the worst at computers. Okay? But even I know about Nextdoor. Okay? It only is surrounding your area, and we will put information. We will feed. Once again, we're talking about communication. If you guys communicate with us, we can communicate with you. We are going to make this happen. We will succeed at this, I promise you. But if you aren't part of the Nextdoor neighborhood, I highly suggest that you get on it, okay?
As we start having, hot spots of burglaries and other sorts of crimes, some of you may already be on Nextdoor. I've already sent a few of those notifications out for burglary alert in your area for Oakwood Hills and Mossy Head. So those messages are going out through that application. That's how I can communicate with you guys in your community, let you be aware we've got a problem, and this is where it's happening. And so that's how I want you guys to be informed. If you have a smartphone, your kids have a smartphone, put them on Nextdoor. It doesn't cost you anything. We're not monitoring you, but it's another way for you to communicate with us and for us to let you know what's specifically going on. Because it is geo-fenced for each community. So I can reach out to only the subscribers because it goes by your physical email or your mailing address. It's verified that that's who you are. So that's how you create your account for Nextdoor. So it verifies where you live. And we have certain areas of the county, which we call the zone. You have the district, this is District 1, we've got 5 different subzones. And we also have different communities within each of those zones that we can target the people in that community that's going to be most effective so that you can be aware that, hey, look, we just had 4 burglaries that were reported in the last 2 days in your area. They happened on Violet and happened over here on Girl Scout, and another one happened over here on Grenade 7. You need to be aware. You guys need to keep an eye on. Call us if you see something. There's all kinds of ways that you can report, information. Crime Stoppers, you can call our non-emergency line, talk to the deputy directly. We prefer that you come forward and give us your information so that we can, that just makes our case more solid. So please, if you're not on Nextdoor, there's plenty of handouts back there in the back. I encourage you to take one, download it on your smartphone, Android or iPhone. It'll work with either one of those. So please. Appreciate it, guys.
All right, I'm gonna end it with that. Again, Georgina back in the back, open for questions. If you need to call my office, talk to me. If I'm not there,